Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to be here today. And I was really happy to see the presentation before, where we see the colleagues also working on the hydrogen economy. And in the coming couple of minutes, I will be showing you another way of doing it as well with fuel cells. But let me start by telling you a couple of words about Bosch. We are one of Germany's largest technology companies. We have around 420,000 colleagues, and we do around 80 billion euros in revenues. We are active in many sectors, but you could say mainly that we are in the mobility solutions. We have a lot of industrial solutions around IoT and automation. We are also doing a consumer goods business, which many of you maybe know from homes, and of course we are active in the energy and technology business. In everything which we do, we look, of course, at the technology, but we also try to make sure that we are fulfilling the economical reasoning and helping our customers as well, getting things done in an ecological way and as well in a social way. And we started by ourselves, so we are one of the first companies in the world to be completely CO2 neutral in scope 1 and 2. And we do that in all our 400 sites worldwide since 2021. And now we are working on doing that or reducing it towards scope 3 as well. If you're asking yourself, why do we need to do that and go into all these new technologies around green and so on, there are many reasons. The first thing is the trends which we see globally around electrification. So everyone is moving into electric cars. We see a lot of people moving into urban areas and prefer to live in large cities, which are getting more and more bigger. And we want to digitalize everything. And these things are consuming really huge amounts of electricity. And this is why we need to work basically on increasing the efficiency of these systems. These systems need also to be very flexible because the demand is changing over the day. And we need to make sure that it's reliable, because if we think about IoT, and we think about industry projects and about autonomous driving and so on, then this becomes really a must-have. The hydrogen demand is growing up, and you can see this on this slide, but I will not spend a lot of time on that because I think every one of us here is aware of that, and I will go direct into our portfolio. So at Bosch, we start by supporting our customers by generating hydrogen. So we work on the electrolyzer technology by providing stacks. We also go through the distribution and storage value chain, where we offer solutions and sensors as different part of the value chain. We do as well boilers, which work with hydrogen. And of course, when you want to use hydrogen again to generate electricity, then you will need fuel cells. And there we have our stationary fuel cells as well as our mobile fuel cells. For today, I will be focusing more on the solid oxide fuel cell, which you will see here on the right side. This fuel cell is not for automotive purposes, and it's a high temperature fuel cell. In addition to that, and you can see this on our booth, if you stop by, we have electrolyzer solutions, and we also supply BEM fuel cells for electromobility. So Nikola Trucks is, for example, one of our big customers. When it comes to solid oxide, we have built a solution which comes in a containerized matter. It's around 100 kilowatt of electrical energy. And it have on top of it around 50 kilowatt of thermal energy. So this is the biggest difference most likely to CHPs or engines like we saw in the presentation before. We are mainly actually electrical derived, which means we can help customers who have actually higher electrical demand than heating. Our efficiency is also higher, so we operate at around 90% combined efficiency if you add heat and energy into that. And we can set up these systems fast. So we see a lot of demand, for example, from data center operators or areas where there is huge demand, but there is no time actually to get electricity because the grid is trying to catch up with all these demands, but is not really able. You need to build a lot of cables and so on. And this gives a very good opportunity by using fuel cells. We're running at the moment a lot of applications and use cases with different customers. And I'll just go through them fast so that you get a feeling of it before I deep dive into one of them. So one of the largest customer use cases we have is basically continuous power and backup power for data centers. A lot of data center providers are struggling actually with getting extra power, especially if you are in the edge data centers, because you need to wait 1-2 years sometimes to get your power. And if you do this basically with fuel cells, you can get it done within 3 months, let's say. You can also do it using hydrogen, which means you can save a lot of CO2. We did some of this also with telecom companies. So you see here in Berlin, the BASM, that's the energy utility for the telecom company in Germany. And they are very happy with this installation, which is up and running since around 2 years. We did this also at many of our own sites. So we have many manufacturing facilities around Germany, and we did a couple of installations on our sites where we can see how the units are performing, and we also combine it with different technologies. So if you want to think about use cases, you can think about industry, data centers, replacement for CHP, and you can also look at many different other applications. That's the one which I would like to look at a little bit deeper today, because I think this is how many manufacturing and industrial sites will look in the future. This site is in Salzgitter in the north of Germany, and it's our own factory. On this site, we have installed around 10 units, which generate around 100 kilowatt in electricity. But at the moment, we are also expanding this site so that we can show more. And basically what we're trying to do here is to combine a very large solar system, which is around 3 to 4 megawatt, together with energy storage. We are building an electrolyzer, and we will be basically demonstrating on this site how you can build a kind of on-site microgrid where you can run independent from the grid, but as well generate your hydrogen on site and maybe use it on other times. So if you think about summer times when you don't have a lot of production, you have a lot of photovoltaic, then you could use basically this solar energy to generate some hydrogen, and this hydrogen can be either used for our filling stations, which we can use it for our trucks, or we could use it basically later on to generate electricity for our facility. We've also tried to make this hub open, so it's not our own project. We are inviting politics and local industry to participate on that, because we think it's really important to get adoption, and that also different partners, startups in the region are also involved in this and see how we do it. So we're trying not to do really a secret out of it. We're trying to make it open for community and also hold presentations and meetings with different players as well who can visit us, have a look at what we do, and maybe replicate it at their own site. So it's really like a multi-purpose site where we of course show that the technology works, but we also basically try to involve the whole community. Like I mentioned before, we have around 400 planets worldwide, and for us this is a blueprint of what we could and we should do in the future in our point of view. So what we found, and I want maybe to give you this as a small point, if you think of fuel cells, of course many people think on the first step that, okay, this is an expensive system, this is a new technology, it's really difficult to use it and so on. But if you combine fuel cells with other systems, and this is what we found out through our learnings in the last 2-3 years, then you really have a great system, because solar alone or wind are intermittent. So this behavior is really difficult. You have no sun in the evening. Yeah? If you want to put some energy storage, it can help you for 1-2 hours. But if you want to have really an on-grid system which can run 24/7, then today there is not so many options which you can use. And building a microgrid where you can combine these existing technologies together with fuel cells is a great opportunity to get really an, I would say, local generation at zero CO2 footprint, and our TCO calculations from the sites which we installed by ourselves looks very, very promising. And what I would encourage you just to come over and discuss this with us at our booth. So at Bosch, we believe in hydrogen. We are investing a lot of money and resources in the coming years into the hydrogen economy, including electrolyzers, including stationary fuel cells and mobility fuel cells. And we think it will be a climate game changer, and we will be happy to answer your questions either here or later on our booth. Please feel free to come over. We are at A30, just at the end of the hall. Thank you very much for your time.